Hello, friends. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for your messages. It's so good to be back. And I hope over the next 5 or so videos, I'm just going to share some things I've learned over the years. I've really gotten into auctions and getting discounted items. I'm very into that. So I wanted to share some of my tips and tricks around those ideas. But today I wanted to talk about something very near and dear to my heart. The difference between, currently I'm living in a tiny home, and I want to talk about the differences I've experienced between an RV and a tiny home and why I love the tiny home, but yet why I also love the RVs. First, start with the tiny homes and give the reasons why I think they are amazing, and then I'll go into the RVs and why they are amazing and why I would choose which one. So first of all, with the tiny homes, you have the quality, you've got the roof quality, you've got the siding quality. You really have a home on wheels. So they can withstand all of the crazy weather. They can withstand mold. They're just better in the long run. They're better materials, better quality. And that is probably my number one reason for a tiny home. They also have far better insulation because of the way they're built. So the air conditioning, the heat, it all is just so much better than in an RV. In an RV, I've been in really nice ones, really cheap ones, and it doesn't matter. It is just very difficult to maintain the heat or the coolness. You have to constantly have the air conditioner running, or you have to have the heater running. Obviously in perfect spring weather, you don't need either of those, and that's great. But just in general, the efficiency of them, they're just so much better when it comes to utilities and insulation. The other thing, tiny homes, I just love the tall ceilings. With the tall ceilings, it's just such an open and airy feel, and to have the ability to move your home and have that open and airy feel, that is amazing. And when you walk in, it just feels big and bright, and that's something I just never really had in all the different RVs that I've been in, so I really love that. The other part of it, I just love the normalcy. From someone who loves to be authentic, that's kind of a crazy thing to say. However, I just love the comfort of a regular toilet and a regular sink and everything just being very normal and not being so different in the RVs. Like I said, I've been in really nice ones and really cheap ones, RVs, all the full spectrum, and they all kind of have a feel to them, and they don't really feel like a normal home. So those are my reasons for a tiny home. And some things that I really love about RVs that I find they're stronger with RVs than with tiny homes are they're far more portable. So a tiny home, it's meant to feel more like a home. So you're not going to have the cabinets that stick, and you're not going to have the lock-in refrigerator and all these things. So to move a tiny home, it just requires a lot more thought. It's very doable, and that's what's lovely about them, but it's not like a RV that you can just shut the refrigerator and it's ready to get on the road. I just love the portability of them. They're also far more understood. So between insurance and RV parks, and there's just already a system in place in our society for them. And I feel like tiny homes are they're very new and not very well understood. They're far better in so many ways, but there's not a lot of places that will insure them, or it depends on where you live if they'll insure them or what they'll insure them for. So it's not the same as an RV where you just call up and you give the information and you get insurance from any company anywhere. The other aspect are the parking options. Again, it's a similar thing about whether they're understood or not, because they're very similar to RVs in so many ways, but there's not as many RV parks that will accept them. And yeah, I'm guessing the reason why is that, again, they're not really understood, and there's not really a organized market around them in the sense that there's certain standards that they're upheld to, whereas in RVs, like, they know the tanks are done a certain way, and in a lot of tiny homes, they don't have tanks. They just go straight into the septic line, and I'm sure Lord knows what people throw in there. So anyway, those are the differences between them. I feel like a tiny home is really great if you want to have your permanent home and have flexibility, and before you buy land and where to get you're not really sure, but you want to get really situated in your home, tiny homes are amazing for that. Also, if you want to move around a little bit, maybe you live in the south in the winter and live in the north in the summer, and moving it once or twice a year, I think tiny homes can be good for. I don't think that they're really good for a lot of moving. Well, I know they're not good for a lot of moving, but when it comes to just sort of permanent home options, they're amazing. And putting them on land, I think they would do far better than an RV would. If you want to travel the country and be constantly moving, obviously an RV is much better for that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. And obviously, this is just my opinion and my general experience in living in one. I've lived in so many RVs, and then living in the tiny home that I do now. I really love them. I'll probably always live in one of them. And so there you go. Hope everyone's doing well, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for being here and listening. Okay, bye.